going on, everybody? Welcome back to the JPC Frequency Podcast. I am your host, JP, and I have an awesome guest today, Mr. Brian Wolff. How's it going, brother?
Really good. Real happy to be here with you, man.
Thanks for
awesome.
letting me come out to your spot, bro.
Yeah, man. It's really good to have you.
For sure. This is like a professional sound studio.
We're working on it.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's a work in progress, but it's getting there. I love this room. It's cool.
Sweet. Well, let's jump into it, man.
Let's do it.
First of all, you got the Killer shirt on.
Oh yeah.
Big Killers fan?
Definitely. Saw them at the Moody Center last year. It was great. Great show. But yeah, always been a big fan of theirs for sure.
Nice. Yeah. I used to actually, one of the few karaoke songs I'll do. It's the one, what is it? I Got Soul, but I'm not.
Oh yeah, all these things that I've done. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Great song.
I've covered that song a few times.
Oh,
It's
really?
fun.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it was better.
Well, I don't know. We'll have to see about that. We'll have to have a karaoke off one night.
Yeah, man. I have to get drunk enough. I
think
can't.
I'm the same way, man. Karaoke's different. That's not. It's not a gig. That's let's have some drinks first, and then it'll be more fun.
Yeah. Well, all right, brother. Okay, so I was reading your bio, doing my homework, research. You're a guitarist, a musician. At one point, you were a podcaster. I know.
Yeah.
So you've been doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
Let's start from kind of the beginning. I want your fans and my listeners to like get to know Mr. Wolff.
Yeah. Cool, man.
Let's get started with some music stuff. What kind of got you into that?
Well, I think one of my early heroes was AC/DC for sure. And I don't know. It's funny, like referencing like influences, because like, you know, you might listen to my music and be like, I can't really hear AC/DC in that, but like it's all in there somewhere, you know, like all that kind of stuff. But like AC/DC, Bruce Springsteen was an early influence for me. Just like stuff I heard that like my dad would show me, and just like kind of he would play stuff in the minivan driving us around as kids, and I'd be like, that's really cool. What's that song? What's that album? And it was just all that stuff, like The Who, Zeppelin, like just classic rock. I really was raised on that, and really got into that. And when I was probably about 12, I was walking around the neighborhood garage sale and found this guitar that was just like, it just looked a lot like Angus Young's guitar from AC/DC, and just like, and I was like so into their music and so into that guitar playing and like all that stuff that I was like, okay, I have this paper route money and $75 for this awesome guitar that like, it was just such a knockoff brand, like never heard of it since. But that was my first guitar, and it was one of those things that like, I don't know, I was just so proud of having it, and just like, so like, I better learn how to play this thing, and just got really into it, and kind of just started to make some noise with my brother who played drums, and this kid down the street who played bass, and we would just like make a lot of noise in my parents' basement, and that's kind of how it all started, is having that space to do that. That's
awesome. So it sounds like you grew up on some classics.
Oh, yeah.
Had a good taste in music from an early age. So I read you were originally from New York?
Yeah, upstate New York.
Upstate New York,
yeah,
okay.
So small town, for sure. Which is funny, because I think a lot of people associate that only with New York City, you know, but it's, you know, upstate New York is pretty much just like, you know, farms and like countryside and hills and like, that's what a lot of upstate New York looks like. And that's kind of the type of area I'm from. So
nice.
Yeah.
So when did you move to Austin?
About 10 years ago in 2012. So almost 11 years ago, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, I was 24 at the time when I left my hometown to come here. And yeah, it's crazy how fast 10, 11 years flies by in a place that, I mean, I love Austin, so it's just like having a good time, getting to do the things that I want to do and make music that I love to make. And like, of course, time's going to fly if you're doing that stuff, you know?
Did you do that in the pursuit of music?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was in college, in Binghamton, New York at Binghamton University, and kind of started to write some songs. And I started a kind of bar band with some friends, and like a lot of my buddies from college would come out and stuff. And I don't know, there was like a moment then, especially when I was starting to write songs and people could connect with them, that I realized like that's what I really want to do. I wasn't studying music in college. I was studying marketing actually. But I think like as much as I thought I wanted to do sports marketing was like the goal was to like work for the New York Mets. That was like my that was like my goal in college. But you know, it's not that I gave that goal up. It's just I found a new one. I really fell in love with music and just like realized I think that's what I really want to do. And I know it's going to be hard, but like it was the thing that like made me just like want to just give it my all to a thing, you know? And it didn't feel like work necessarily, you know? Sometimes it does, but like it that was such a life-changing thing. So I mean, when college was over, I was like, well, I don't think I can stick around here if I really want to pursue music as a career and make it my full-time job and things like that, because I had those aspirations even then. But I knew I had to move somewhere where music was just a big part of the culture, and Austin was right at the top of the list. I already had some friends that moved here, and they were having a good time getting gigs and running open mics and stuff, so I knew I had some people here already, and yeah, just made the leap.
That's awesome, man. That's like a story of a lot of these musicians. Like, you know, the few I've spoke to, they really kind of embodied that too. Just, hey, Austin seems like just a great music place. And I moved out here 2019, and just
Cool.
with the live shows. You know, I'm from Lubbock, Texas. Like, they didn't have what you guys have here, just a local setup. They do now, but back,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I mean, it's just hard to compare anything to Austin, right? I mean, like, I think every town has like a music scene. Like Binghamton, New York has one too, and there's some cool stuff going on there. And but it's like it's just like Austin is like the Mecca, you know. So it's just not fair to compare anything to this place, you know. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's been great for anybody that loves to either listen or play live music. So
yeah.
All right, well, let's I want to keep this going because it interests me for musicians when they start out.
Yeah.
Like, can you speak to some of the kind of trials and tribulations that you had to go through just getting here and like getting gigs and getting your foot in the door?
Oh yeah, man. I think when I got here, it was definitely like I was a big fish in a small pond, kind of in my own way in my hometown. And then I got here, you know, realizing it's a different scene and there's a lot more people here and stuff. But I think I maybe even underestimated the talent level that would be here. I went out to go see some shows, and just like my mind was so blown as soon as I got here, and just like so overwhelmed by the talent, and like realizing that I have to find my place in that, you know, like it's not that I thought I wasn't going to be able to do it. It was just like, oh man, this is like a different world down here. And so it's kind of a sink or swim moment that happened in my life. And you know, I just was like, well, I think if I want to find my place here, I got to just work my ass off. You know, that was just like, that's the answer. And so I just like started to play guitar a lot more, sing a lot more, and just like hit open mics all the time. And like, I think that was the thing that really got me going, was like going to open mics and trying to meet people and trying to play for whoever would listen. And then gigs started to kind of happen. Like I would just start like meeting someone who knew someone that would just be like, well, like, you know, we book at this place. Maybe you should try emailing this person. And like, it just started to kind of happen that way. And every opportunity, I was just like, yes, let's go. You know, and like, that was the thing for so many years, just yes to everything. Yes, 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 yes. And then, you know, thankfully things have, you know, grown and so I don't have to say yes to everything now, but it's
So you played a bunch of shows like you necessarily maybe didn't want to play at the time.
Oh, absolutely.
Just to get it out there,
Just
snowball effect.
Just to be out there, just to, just to meet people, just to get some stage time and get better at it. That was all important. I mean, I spent a couple of years being a happy hour guitar player on 6th Street almost every night of the week, like from like 4 to 7, like on like a Tuesday, and as you can imagine, there's not a lot of people for the most part in there, and like they just didn't pay well or anything, but I was doing that like 4 or 5 nights a week. And then sometimes doing a show later on that night or hitting an open mic after that. And like, that was just the hustle. That was the year that's what I needed to like really be able to like sing better.
The hustle. I love that.
Yeah.
Because I used to think like, oh, you just get really good at music and then one day you're just playing on stages. But that grind, not a lot of people get to like witness or see that grind that goes into that. And I think it's real cool because you said something off camera earlier that you're a musician full time.
Yes.
And it wasn't always like that, where you working jobs and then having to play and like all the stuff you were saying on top of working like a full-time job.
Yeah. I mean, it's always been, well, for most of my time in Austin, it was, music, like trying to play gigs and trying to release music has always been the like number one focus. And I would always have a job to support that rather than the other way, like it being a hobby,
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, I was a barista at Starbucks. I was a waiter at an old folks home, for a while, which was fun.
Any interesting stories that happen at the old folks home?
I mean, it's either the people were the sweetest people in the world or they were super just entitled, angry people. It was like nothing in the middle. Like it was either one or the other,
Super hot or cold. At this
yeah. But it was a good experience, and definitely some pretty rewarding moments there. But it's like, it's interesting when I think you think about jobs like that. It is like such a thing of like, okay, well, I'm going to try to work out a gig later today or something. So I just can't wait to get out of here so I can go do that. There's no like being in a moment at a job like that. It's like, oh, okay, I'm waiting for the next thing or waiting till I can go rehearse with my band after this. Like, it's just, I was never there.
I'm there for the check, basically.
Yeah, right. I was like, I'm going to get this job done. The least amount of work I can possibly do, probably. I was not a good employee. But
I could imagine. I feel like that would be a tough job. Like old folks home, it's like,
could be, yeah.
Especially the ones that like don't get any visitors.
Yes.
I feel like I'd be in there just like, you want to play some chess or something? Like,
yeah. But it was good. I mean, it was good for me to have that. And all that stuff is like, was so important for me to get
part
where
of the
I'm at
story
now.
as it went along.
Yeah. So I'm thankful for it, but it was like very much like, it was that. Like, if it was like I was working on a Tuesday, it's like, okay, maybe I have a happy hour after the lunch rush for, it's like maybe I have to go play at a happy hour downtown. So I just have to like get out of that zone of like serving old folks to like, now I got to go play at a bar downtown. It's like a totally different part of my brain,
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Did you have like just your gear already ready to, like, everywhere you went, it's just in the car? Like,
yeah. Well, you don't want to leave your guitar in the car here in
yeah.
Texas because
Yeah,
it's
true.
too hot. That's guitar abuse. But so that was always the thing. It's just like, okay, I just need a good place at every one of these workplaces to leave this all day. You like,
walk in with a guitar and app. Hey guys,
yeah,
I'm here for my shift. Where do I sit this down at?
yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, that was all part of it. And, I'm thankful that, I haven't had to work a job like that in a while, but I kind of got out of making music the focus for a little bit. I worked for a nonprofit for a couple of years, that, helped kids in foster care get, guitar lessons or music lessons in general. And that was really special to me, but that was like, that was almost a break from taking music, like, making that like the number one thing as far as like my work life goes. And then I did that for a couple of years and then just kind of decided to go back, and I just realized, that was a 9-to-5 office job and it was a really cool, rewarding one. But I realized even with that, I really missed playing on stages a lot, and that hustle. Like I'm like, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So
that's
I'm
beautiful
back at
though.
it.
Like that nonprofit helping, like that's not a lot of people do that. So it's cool that you kind of gave yourself your time, and you took your break.
Yeah.
Did that help you? Like when you went back to writing music, did that experience
Oh
kind
yeah.
of enhance what you already had?
I mean, in a lot of ways. I mean, it's so I started out as a volunteer with the organization is still around. It's called Kids in a New Groove.
Give them a
Yeah.
round of applause. That's awesome.
Yeah, they're great. So if anybody wants to volunteer and help out a kid in foster care and that could use a friend and mentor and to learn something cool like music, that's a really cool way to give your time. But yeah, I did that for a year as a mentor, and then when they needed somebody to kind of help out and like work for them, it was kind of a no-brainer. Like, okay. But my job was pretty much to supervise all the mentors. I mean, any nonprofit doesn't have a lot of staff on it. So like my job was a big one, which was like to bring in all the new mentors and then kind of try to train them and also help them with any issues that come up. And like it was such an experience. But learning how to do that and stepping away from it, I think stepping away from doing music so much, it was good for me to focus on something outside of myself and my music for a couple of years. And like now that I'm back at it, I think I can be more present in it because I know what it's like to be outside of that. And like I can appreciate how much I really do love playing music live for people, and there are those gigs that I feel like years ago before I worked that job or before, 2020 happened, that I would look at as like, oh, I guess I just got to get through this gig. Like nobody's here, whatever. Like, and those still happen, but like, I think it's easier for me now to get to a place where I can think about like, I'm just really glad I get to do this right now. Like, I'm glad I get to have this life and get to play music, even if there's only one person in here that gives a shit that I'm playing, like, and like, it's pretty cool to, and I don't know, to get to that place and just to be grateful for it. So
that's awesome, brother.
Thanks,
yeah,
man.
I mean, just like I haven't had the pleasure of seeing you live yet, but even just your YouTube videos that you have of your live performances, just the way that the crowd's engaged and you shredding up there, so you can tell that you have fun doing it.
I do.
You're not just up there. This isn't just a gig. It's who you are.
Yeah. I mean, it's something I realized too is like everything else about music, like doing interviews or like, recording, like all that stuff. Like I enjoy that process too. Like all those kind of practicing, rehearsing. I think they all like lead up to like getting to be on stage and playing in front of people. That's like what it's about. Like that's the moment that's the big payoff for all the work. Like all the emails that I have to send, all the social media promo. It's like that all leads up to like, okay, I get to play this cool show now and there's people here and they care and I'm going to enjoy the shit out of this. And it's like, I think it's really important to be able to do that because I think also another thing is before I think I got to a place where I could appreciate it more, I think it was a lot more difficult for me to live in those moments because I think I'd always be thinking about like the next show. Like
couldn't just smell the roses. You were like, what's next? What's next?
Like, and I'm sure I bet a lot of people can relate to that, whatever career they have. But like, it's like, you achieve something where it's like, oh, like, cool, we're playing this stage I always wanted to play, or we're playing with this person, or we played a show and this many people came out. That's awesome. And just being able to enjoy that for what that is, as opposed to like, okay, like immediately being like, how do we double that next time for people coming out? Or like, how do we play at this place we haven't been able to play yet? It's like, that stuff is like, it's cool to have that motivation and that hunger to do the next thing. But I think you also have to enjoy the moments and the ride, because I think that's like the most healthy way to do it, and I'm trying to get there where I can just be present and just be like, this is really cool where we're at right now. And I'm so glad to be doing this. And like, it doesn't always feel like that, but it's more often than not, for sure.
That's super dope, man. It's cool.
Man.
It's cool to hear, like, for myself, right? I want to one day turn the podcast into something. Maybe, right now it's a hobby. I get to talk to musicians like yourself and just creative people, and it gives me a boost. When I'm at home thinking like, oh man, what's my next move? It's like, hey, let's just take it one episode at a time. And yeah, it's one. That's the goal, right? Is to turn what we love to do. I love having conversations, and I just want to turn that into a living. So
yeah,
it's cool to see you doing that currently right now. So
thanks, man. I mean, it's something I don't take for granted. That's for sure.
Continuing on this journey, moving to Austin, getting into music, grinding your ass off. What was your next step?
Yeah, so after kind of doing a lot of those happy hour gigs, and that was the thing for a while, for my first few years, I linked up with this kind of R&B pop cover band called Holly and the Hype, and I was playing guitar and singing backup vocals in it, and that was kind of my first band experience in Austin, and that was really cool. Had a lot of fun with that. We did write a little bit, but I mean, for the most part, we were playing 6th Street shows and just entertaining people. So like, the originals weren't like high on the list of priorities. But eventually I kind of decided I really wanted to play rock, and I really wanted to like write stuff again and like just, get back into like the kind of music playing that I really loved. So I was like, well, I want to start this new band, and I met this guy, Derek Cruzy, at an open mic. And we kind of hit it off, and just, it was like one of those things where we had a lot of mutual respect for each other and the way we played at those open mics, and like, seeing him play like a pretty chill Neil Young song, but just go crazy on stage with it was just like, oh, I need to be friends with this guy. I need to start a band with this guy. Like, just like, it was like a very, yeah. And like, we ended up meeting at this open mic a lot. And then just like being like, one night it was just like, we're going to start a band together. And that was kind of like in our back pocket for a while. And then eventually it happened. And, I knew Joe and Brett, who ended up being in Fair City Fire as well, from that other band that I was in. And I invited them to come with us, but like also totally cool if you want to stay in that band. It was like a weird moment, right? Of like, I don't want to be like stealing people, but it doesn't, every drummer and bass player is in a million bands, so it's like, that's kind of the reality of it. But I love those guys, and I wanted them to be a part of this new thing Derek and I were putting together. And then it just ended up being just a totally fun, just life-changing experience being in the band Fair City Fire that we started. And we ended up going on tour across the country about, I think, 5 times, which was just like I had always wanted to do that and never just really made it happen. But then we did in that band. We did it once, and then we realized that was pretty fun. Let's do it again. And it just ended up being like a yearly thing where we would just tour every year for at least a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. And it just ended up like just such great memories that like I'll have forever, and like great meeting people on the road, some such like unexpected moments of like shows being either like massive disappointments or massive successes that we didn't expect it to be. It's like one of the two. And just that experience of being out there and doing that, and like getting to play, like waking up in the morning knowing like that night you're going to be playing in a new city, and it's kind of addicting, that feeling. I can't wait to do it again. I don't know when it's going to happen, but
hopefully soon, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully
I think
soon.
we're on the path for sure to get that going again. But
so with the tours,
yeah.
Do you have any memorable tour stories or anything?
I mean, there's so many. I think something will hit me as soon as we're like done talking. It'll be like, oh yeah, like, I should have said that. But no, I mean, just overall, just great experiences, and just what a way to get to know people. I mean, those guys, just like, we would do anything for each other, you know, like, it's just like that kind of bond of being on the road and just relying on each other so much for just, I mean, you're living together for that long, and somebody's got to be driving the van, and somebody's got to be navigating, and somebody's got to be like making sure we're going to the right places, and like all that stuff, and just really being able to rely on each other for all those things, and not drive each other insane.
Yeah.
You know, is really, I mean, we did it. I mean, it was great, but I think that's the takeaway for sure. But
like the brotherhood that you
Yeah.
guys built, and
yeah, it's really special for sure.
that's awesome.
But, you know, kind of fast forward to 2020. Yeah, unfortunately, we broke up because, basically, bass player Brett decided he wanted to move on and do different things with his life, and it wasn't anything like, there was no big fight, there was no like big anything like that, but we were a band for like 6 or 7 years at that point, and it was like, well, we gave it a shot. Like, if you know what this is, you know, like, you know, and if like you've been in it this long and you don't want to keep going, it's like, I know you've tried it, you know, and we kind of left it in a really good place of just like, best of luck to each other. Like, but I knew in my heart I wanted to keep things going, and I wasn't sure if that was with Fair City Fire or like starting a new thing, and kind of we talked about it. Like, Clint, who was the other guitar player in the band at the time, had kind of made a similar decision to Brett, to move on and kind of focus on his own music more, and it seemed like a good time for him to make the exit, which made a lot of sense to me. But you know, Joe and I were left, who's been the drummer since the beginning, pretty much, at Fair City Fire, and we were kind of calling each other. We couldn't really hang out. It was like in the middle of 2020, so we were just like, we don't know if we should get together or not, you know, like but we would call each other, and just all this stuff was going on, and all these kind of decisions about our future were just, I don't know what to do about this. Like, this was our life for so long. Like, you know, either being on the road or preparing to be on the road, or recording or playing shows around Austin. Like, now that we're all sitting around figuring out what's next after we're able to get back together and play music and all that stuff again, what does that look like for us? You know, for me, it was like, I know I want to keep playing on stage and keep entertaining people and keep writing, and like that feeling, I couldn't imagine not having that in my life. Like, that's just deeply ingrained in who I am, and so attached to my happiness as a human, is like being that person. So I knew it was really important for me to figure out how to continue. But you know, Joe was like, yeah, I still want to play music too, and like, what does it look like? And we thought trying to bring in a new bass player and calling it Fair City Fire, even though two of the guys just left, like one of them being a founding member, like it was just kind of like, it just doesn't feel like the same band if we bring in a new person. And also, maybe this is the time for us to like do something different, to pursue some kind of other musical project that fulfills a need that maybe Fair City Fire wasn't. And for me, that was like, I always had the idea of, you know, writing my own stuff and going out solo. And that was kind of the thing. And that's kind of where this project started, was, you know, basically I'd been writing these songs that didn't quite fit with Fair City Fire, and realizing that, like, well, if I really want to do this forever, I think I'm the person that I can count on to be in it forever, you know? Like, I don't want to have to rely on other people to commit a lifetime of this, you know? You know what I mean? Like, so the thing that made sense for me was like, okay, calling it after my name, because I know I'm going to be involved, you know? But, and then it's just kind of like, well, I know the players that I love to play with, and I want to play with the best people I can, and especially like friends of mine. Like, I'm so lucky to be playing with the guys that I am. But it's like Tim Moen and Joe Valadez, just incredible guys, and Scott Blanco actually just joined us, so we're a 4-piece band now. But like just knowing like, okay, if like Tim decides he wants to move on and like go move somewhere else, like I can get a new bass player and not feel weird about that, because it's still like like I wrote these songs, you know? And
it was not like a band collective and you're trying to replace a band member. This is just...
Right. This is just, it's called Brian Wolff and the Howlers. So it's like, you know, we just get a new howler.
Dude, the Howlers is dope. That was actually on my notes. I was like...
Thank you,
Brian Wolff and the Howlers.
But like, that's not to say it wouldn't be a big deal if he left, right? But it's like, it's very much like, it's just like more doable and more like, okay, well, we're just going to figure it out, as opposed to like, it feels like a new band, you know? I don't know if that makes sense.
With that, because I'm curious with that.
Yeah.
So whenever you write the music, these are from you. I know you're doing the guitar. Do you have like what you want the drums to sound like and the bass, or do you kind of like let them come in and their musical prowess and they kind of do their own thing and you're like, I like that?
It's kind of a little bit of this and that. I mean, it's mostly the latter, actually. Like, because I mean, I'm playing with guys that I know like fit the music well, and I like their ideas that they come up with. So there's a lot of just like, well, whatever you're thinking right now will probably work, because that's why I want to play music with you, because we link up like that, you know? It's like, so that part of the work is kind of done already, of just like, oh, like I don't have to like come in and tell you what to play. Like, I like your ideas, you know? So, you know, but there's some stuff like I'll come to practice and just be like, okay, this is like the meaning of the song from my perspective, and this is the mood that I think fits with it, right? So like, it's never I'm telling them what parts to play. It's more concepts and like, how do we paint this picture?
Yeah. So you go in with the idea, the structure of it.
Yeah.
And obviously you guys are all musicians, so you know, hey, I'm playing in, you know, so-and-so, let me add this on.
And like, Tim's the bass player in my band because he's a way better bass player than I am, you know, like, and he's the best bass player that I know personally. And I feel the same way about Joe on drums and Scott playing guitar. Like, Scott's a new addition, and we added him because, I mean, he's one of all of our best friends, but also like a much better guitar player than I am. And I love that, you know, like, but I think that's just something like, there just has to be some trust and like that, hey, you know what you're doing. That's why you're here, you know, like, so let's just trust each other to come up with some cool parts and but also being able to give feedback and like, that wasn't quite it. Like, let's try something else with that. Like there has to be that too.
Yeah, so you got to have kind of those tougher conversations of, because at the end of the day, you do have a direction.
Yes.
For the song, and so that's
it's important to protect that. I mean, but also playing with people that understand that too. That it's not just about getting your ideas across, or it's like, it's not just about me getting my ideas across either. It's like, there's this song. I think we have to serve whatever this song is supposed to do. That's our master, you know?
Yeah.
It's not me. It's not, you know, even though my name's on the thing, it's like, we're bringing this song to a thing. Like, let's do this the best way that we can. Heck
yeah. So that brings us now to the present.
Yeah.
Well, you dropped the EP, what was it, last year, right?
Yeah, June of last year. Yeah.
So with the EP, and I did take some notes.
Cool.
I even wrote, so my favorite song, and I don't want to be basic, it's the title track.
Cool. No, that's awesome, man. I appreciate that.
So yeah, let's kind of stop there. I want to talk about that. So with the title track, I did want to ask you kind of the meaning behind that one, because to me that was a song that I resonated with.
Yeah,
but I wanted to get kind of your meaning behind that. So what was this song to you?
I'm so curious what your interpretation was, so I'm going to ask you that after I tell you what it's about. But what I wrote it about actually was inspired by a podcast interview that I had with a couple comedians. Kim Stacy and Becky Jo Neal. They're local comedians in Austin that have a show called Comedians Interviewing Musicians that I've been on a few times, and they're great. I love those guys, and it was cool to have them on my show and just get to find out how they got started, like have those conversations, which is something they probably don't talk about that much. But, one of them was sharing that she got bullied a lot as a kid, and she would tell jokes to sort of put up that wall of like, well, if I'm making you laugh, then you're probably not going to make fun of me. If I'm making fun of myself, it's harder for you to make fun of me. And that was kind of a self-defense mechanism, right? And so I was just so like, that's just like such a sad sentiment about someone's childhood, right? But also like, I thought about it later and I was like, well, she took all that pain from like just being tormented as a kid, it sounds like, by the other kids, and like turned that into like something really beautiful by pursuing comedy. And like she turned that into like what she does now, and creating that and like bringing joy to so many people from this place that originated from something painful. And I thought about that, and I thought about my own experience being bullied as a kid. And I thought about kind of all that and how I picked up guitar, maybe partly to do the same thing, to like find my place. And like, so it wasn't as easy for them to like hurt me because I was playing guitar and I had my thing. Like, it was like I had my place to go, and I think this song is my way of relating to that, I guess, that sentiment and her, what she was talking about. And I think, finding my place to stand, that's like writing music. That's, finding my place in the world. And for her, that was telling jokes and being funny. And that's kind of what that whole song is about, really.
That's super dope, man.
Cool, man. Thank you.
To me, when I was listening to it, I kind of just, when I listen to music, I personalize it, right?
Yeah.
And, it kind of made me think of the podcast. A lot of times I think, oh, what are people going to say? Are they going to, shit on it, not like it, whatever it may be, or it may just be in my head.
Yeah.
And I've lived that way before, right? And that's why that line hits, because I've lived like I was worried about other people and the outside world, and it affected me in what I did, and it made me not want to do it anymore. And then just hearing those lyrics, like, I don't have to live like that. Like, I can flip that switch and I can find the thing to stand on. So
yeah,
I thought it was a powerful song, man. It really was.
Thank you, man. That means a lot. I think just realizing that, you can't control what other people say to you, right? But something that you can help, get to a place where you can control doing work on it, is like how you like feel about it and how you let it affect you. And I think that's a big thing, is just like figuring out, how to live in this world in a way that like feels good. And that's what this song is about. So thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah. I got some more off the EP.
Cool.
So there was a fun song, and I think you might know it's about playing in a venue, and people are just like hassling you and telling you to turn the music down. Yeah. What's the name of that song again?
I Hope You Stay.
Hope You Stay. I was gonna call it Stay. So Hope You Stay.
Yeah, it's close. Yeah, for sure.
I feel like there's a story behind that.
Oh, totally.
Is there?
I mean, almost a million stories behind that song, but it's very much about. It's a tribute to like playing the background music gigs that I do even now. But like, this was coming from a place of being pretty frustrated with some of it. But like, there was a night I was playing at a restaurant. I won't say which one, but I was just playing on stage, doing my thing, and like this lady walks by the stage with her friends, and she was just kind of like stumbling a little bit, had a little bit too much to drink, and she just shouted to her friends drunkenly, just like looks at me and looks at Brett, who was playing with me, like, oh, there's a band tonight. And then just keeps walking. And I was just like, ow. But also, I'm going to go home and write a song about you and this whole situation. And so that's what I did. And that's where that song comes from, is like explaining the whole thing. And like, it's like telling the story of like oh, the like manager, like she complained to the manager and the manager's now talking to me about it. Like that didn't happen that night, but it's happened other nights. Like, you know, so it's kind of like mixing some stories together and stuff. But
yeah, you could tell, like, whenever you're behind that pin on that one, you had somebody in mind.
Oh, for sure, man.
There was a Karen out there somewhere.
Oh God, yeah. God, yeah. But like I think you know, where the song gets to is like you know, it's like it's like the whole song is pretty much saying like, I'm gonna be here all night and you don't have to stay. You can go somewhere else. Like I don't care, you know? But then getting to that resolution at the end of like, oh, but I still want you to be into this though.
Yeah,
like I still
stay.
care. Yeah, like look, it's so weird. But it's like people might see that title, and I've heard this feedback before and think it's about like love, you know? And it's really not.
No.
Not even close. Yeah.
Not gonna lie, when I was like scrolling through the song list,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, you know, I thought it was gonna be more of a love ballad, but I started listening to it. I was like, this guy's hilarious. So that was "Hope You Stay."
Yep.
Another one I had, and I was thinking about it on the drive up here. I was thinking about "I Love You, Good Night," and I wanted to ask you, kind of what that one was about.
Yeah. So it's kind of well, it's definitely about my brother who passed away when I was 18. And you know, I mentioned him before. I mean, he was the guy that would he would also like play drums. I mean, we were best friends as kids too. I mean, not all the time, but you know, like most of the time we got along. We played music together. I mean, it was like a lot of big part of like just who I am is being his brother, right? You know, and unfortunately he passed away way too young. But it's been something that has been really hard to deal with since that happened. But I've written a few songs about it, but there was this moment of like that happened towards the end of 2020 that was like so much stuff was going on in my life. Like I had just gotten laid off from that job that I was enjoying, helping the kids. Through no fault of my own, just some financial stuff happened and they couldn't afford to keep some staff on. So that happened. The band split up. I was in a really bad part of my relationship that was ending at the time. And so there was just like so many things happening all at once. And all of those things snowballed into me feeling really, really fucking bummed about losing my brother, you know, and like wishing that he was still around. And like, that's something I realized happened, and like, and how much I would love to be able to talk to him about these things and like know what he would be like as an adult. I mean, we lost him when he was 20. So it's, we never really got to see that, you know, the post-college Mike. But this song came from that place of just being so bummed about everything happening. And like my world was coming apart, even outside of just like not being able to play gigs, like I mentioned, being pretty tough on me. But like everything that I thought was like a sure thing that I would have, you know, for a long time, if not forever, like that band, you know, or like that relationship that I thought was going great. Like all those things like were just crumbling. And even that job, I was like, I'm going to work this for a while longer. And that was taken away too. And it was like, well, I can't help but just think about my brother right now for some reason. Like, and it's not even one of those things that like happens all the time. It just hits sometimes in the most random times. And I'm just like, I can't ignore it. I have to go through it. It's like a very emotional thing, obviously, for me, talking about it right now even. But it's, I don't mind talking about it. I think it's important to talk about. But like this song came from that place of just like really wishing that I could have said goodbye to him properly. And that's what this song is. And it's loud, and it's a rock song. It's not a sad ballad necessarily. I mean, it's sad in that if you really listen to the lyrics, it's pretty sad. But like the way the song sounds, it's a big rocker, you know, and that was intentional because I mean, we made so much noise in my parents' basement, like trying to learn how to play music and be in a rock band when we were kids. So it was like such a moment of like in our lives of like learning how to do that. So I think this song is a tribute to him in that way too, for sure. But that's
beautiful, and that's kind of why I brought that one up last. I could tell by the lyrics that like that song. I know all your songs have a purpose, but I felt like that one like was real kind of like a heartstring, pulling at your heartstrings type of song, and it was beautiful, man.
Thank you.
That whole EP is fire. Check it out. The Punch. Yeah, man. Anything coming up? Anything in the works that you have? Like, you want to let people know about?
Yeah, I'm really excited. We are right in the middle of recording the next EP. Actually, tomorrow is the last recording session for it. So that's going to be coming out this year, which it's bigger and better. I'm so excited to release this music, and obviously, I think anybody creating music probably thinks that about their new thing. But I do believe this, that this is just like another level for me and the guys as musicians. And we got to work with Frenchie Smith again, who's just this incredible rock producer in town. And he does all kinds of music, but he's like really good at rock stuff, and just such an honor to be working with him, but like also to get to call him a friend, because we did the first EP together and we got to know each other real well, and now we're buddies, and it's such a cool thing. But we got a little bit delayed because of the freeze. That the studio didn't have power for the first couple days we were supposed to record.
Oh man, that was wild.
Yeah,
did you have a bunch of trees down?
There were, but apparently by the studio it knocked down a few power lines. So that was out for like the whole 2 days that we were supposed to be recording, which is just like such a bummer. But we got after. I mean, we all like testament to working with people that really want to be there and really want to like make this happen, and working with friends that care and like all that stuff. Like, we found ways to just stay with it, and now we're here 2 weeks later about to finish the thing, even though the power lines tried to say no. Like, no, you will not. We're like, yes, we're gonna make this happen, because it has to happen. And so there's gonna be a single coming out this spring. It's probably going to be the song "Talk to Me," which I'm real excited about. It's about dating apps. So I think that'll be fun. It's a really fun song. I think people will like a lot. I mean, it's kind of a little bit poppy for me, but also then the choruses rock really hard. So it's kind of a combination of like some new sounds for me, really. But I'm excited for people to hear it, and I'm so pumped about this new stuff. But other than that, there's South by's coming up. There's going to be some fun stuff happening for that. So people can come to on St. Patty's Day. There'll be a showcase at Guero's on South Congress. So that's like the Friday of South by. It's unofficial showcase, but it's Frenchie's showcase. The Bubble is the studio that he works out of, or that he owns and operates out of. But he's putting a showcase together with like a lot of bands that have recorded there, and I'm so thrilled to be doing this. It's going to be great. I'm super looking forward to that.
So a little St. Patty's Day fun.
Yeah, come on out. So
be on the
South
lookout
Congress.
for that.
Yeah, man. But just follow me. I'll keep posting about releases and shows coming up and stuff for sure.
Yeah, and for all the listeners, do not worry. I'm going to have all of Brian's social media, his website, which literally the website I was playing around, all week, and it has everything there. So everything you need to know, support, and listen, stream the music, like it, all that stuff helps.
It does.
Same thing with the podcast.
Absolutely, right back at you, man, for sure.
Yes, sir. Well, I think that's good, man.
Cool, man.
All right, Brian. Thanks for joining the JPC Frequency Podcast.
It was a blast, man.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Thanks.